In a quiet suburb of Los Angeles, a tale of terror unfolded as Keatling, a young girl with a heart full of innocence, found herself entangled in the ancient malevolence of Hachishakusama. Her yearly escapades to her grandparents' idyllic home in Inokura, Japan, usually filled with joy, took a dark twist she could never have anticipated. The verdant forest near her grandparents' house, usually a playground of exploration, became the stage for her encounter with the horrifying specter. A tall woman in a white dress and flat hat emerged from the shadows, her presence casting a sinister shadow over the picturesque landscape. Keatling's heart raced as the woman drew near, the air thick with an otherworldly chill. Her features were unnaturally pale, her gaze fixated on the young girl.
You can't hide.
The stranger's eerie, guttural utterances seemed to reverberate through Keatling's very soul.
Come here.
Fear took hold, paralyzing her momentarily before she managed to flee, her heart pounding in her chest like a tribal drum. Upon reaching the safety of her grandparents' haven, she rushed to recount her harrowing encounter. Her grandmother's face turned ashen, etching lines of deep concern. She imparted the grim tale of Hachishakusama, the 8-feet-tall demoness known for ensnaring the souls of children with her malevolent stare.
Come here.
Keatling's dread deepened as her grandmother urged her to stay locked in a room, fortified with salt on the floor corners, until the next morning's light. The night crawled on, the air thickening with an ominous tension. In the dead of night, the insidious voice of Keatling's grandmother echoed outside her refuge. "Keatling, everything is okay now. Open the door. Please, let me in." An unnerving familiarity laced the words, but something was wrong, horribly wrong. Goosebumps prickled her skin as she recognized the wrongness in the voice's cadence. It was a trap. The legend was no mere myth, and the evil spirit was persistent in its pursuit. Her grandmother's voice pleaded, begged her to open the door, promising safety and normalcy. But Keatling's heart remembered the lessons her true grandmother imparted, that the sinister entity mimicked voices, and its touch was deception itself. Summoning her courage, she rebuked the haunting voice, refusing to relinquish her safety. Dawn finally arrived, breaking the nightmarish spell. Her grandparents wasted no time contacting her parents, revealing the chilling events that had unfolded. The verdict was clear and swift. Keatling was to leave Japan, her grandparents' loving embrace forever denied her. The cost of safety was to sever the bonds that brought her love and joy. Time marched forward. Keatling even mourned the dead of her grandparents from the distance. For her own safety, she could not be there in Japan for their funerals. A year later in California, Keatling received a phone call, and when Keatling answered the phone, she could hear that old, strange, creepy noises again through the phone.
Come here. You can't hide.
Hachishakusama's curse had transcended borders, hounding her through the void of space and time. No amount of distance could sever the ties between Keatling and the malevolent entity. As much as she fought to outrun the darkness, it clung to her like a relentless shadow. The inescapable truth manifested itself when Keatling vanished without a trace. To this day, Keatling's case is considered an unsolved mystery in the USA. However, for Japanese people, Keatling was taken away by Hachishakusama, the lady of the 8 feet tall.
You can't hide.
This is the channel you've been screaming for. Subscribe. In the heart of Tokyo, there lived a girl named Reiko. She was a shy, introverted soul who often found herself at the mercy of cruel classmates who took pleasure in mocking her every day. The relentless taunts and laughter echoed in her ears, a constant reminder of her isolation and despair. One grim evening, under the flickering lights of a desolate subway station, Reiko found herself cornered by her tormentors. The bullies, driven by malice and emboldened by the gloomy environment, pushed her to the edge. With a cruel shove, Reiko stumbled and fell onto the subway tracks just as the approaching train roared into the station. The train's wheels screeched against the rails, but it was too late. Reiko met a gruesome and untimely end, her fragile form torn apart by the speeding locomotive. Her tormentors, their hearts heavy with guilt and fear, fled the scene in haste, leaving behind their victim's lifeless body. They concocted a sinister lie, telling authorities that Reiko had been overwhelmed by depression and had chosen to end her own life by leaping onto the tracks. But death could not quell the torment that had haunted Reiko in life. Her restless spirit emerged from the shadows, twisted and vengeful. Her lower half had been replaced by a spectral scythe, a weapon of retribution forged from her own anguish. She sought revenge on those who had tormented her, visiting them in the darkest hours of the night. As time passed, Reiko's thirst for vengeance grew insatiable. No longer confined to the subway station, her malevolent spirit haunted vehicles across Japan. Anyone who encountered her was doomed to meet a grisly end by her ghostly scythe, their pleas for mercy falling on deaf ears. The legend of Reiko's vengeful spirit spread like wind, a terrifying cautionary tale shared among the terrified populace. Parents warned their children against cruelty, teachers preached the consequences of their actions, and travelers dreaded encountering her on their journeys. The name Reiko became synonymous with dread. A haunting reminder of the price of torment and cruelty. And so the warning remains. Beware of the vengeful spirit named Reiko, who roams the land of Japan seeking revenge for the torment she endured in life. Show kindness and compassion to others, for you never know when you might find yourself face to face with her ghostly scythe, and the cost of cruelty may be your own life. This is the channel you've been screaming for. Subscribe. In the shadows of Japan's eerie urban legends, the chilling tale of Akamanto emerges, a vengeful spirit born from the torment she endured in life. Akamanto, once a young girl subjected to the cruel jeers and mockery of her heartless schoolmates, now haunts the realm between the living and the dead. Legend speaks of Akamanto lurking within the recesses of public restrooms, her presence most sinister in the final stall. Dressed in her blood-red coat, though witnesses occasionally shiver as they recall seeing her in other garments too, she waits patiently for unsuspecting souls to cross into her domain. As the unfortunate souls enter the stall, Akamanto's ghostly presence emerges, her voice chillingly calm as she poses a macabre question. "Red or blue?" she intones about two options of toilet paper rolls she is supposedly offering you. The choices are perilous, for neither path leads to safety. Should one answer red, a gruesome fate awaits, the victim's lifeblood drained, an eerie parallel to the crimson hue of the chosen paper. On the other hand, opting for blue seals one's doom, the breath stolen from them until their skin takes on the same lifeless shade. Yet a more harrowing demise lies in wait for those who dare to defy her limited options. Utter any other color than red or blue, and a nightmarish abyss materializes, a black void spilling forth a multitude of white hands. These spectral appendages ensnare the hapless individual, pulling them into a realm of unfathomable darkness, where escape is but a fleeting dream. Whispers of salvation linger in the shadows, a final glimmer of hope amidst the horror. To navigate the treacherous encounter, one must summon a veneer of serenity and declare their indifference to the offered toilet paper. However, Even this feeble resistance may not guarantee survival, for the clutches of death can be inescapable. Akamanto's spectral torment is a cautionary tale, a grim reminder that the sins of the past can manifest in terrifying ways. Those who scoff at the legend's warning do so at their own peril, for in the hushed corridors of public restrooms, the crimson-clad specter waits, a relentless embodiment of retribution and anguish. This is the channel you've been screaming for. Subscribe. In the quiet corners of Japanese folklore, a chilling tale endures, that of Kuchisake Onna, the slit-mouth woman. Once, she was a vision of beauty, wed to a samurai of high standing. But vanity twisted her heart, and her husband's jealousy led him to commit a monstrous act. One fateful night, he mutilated her once lovely face with a twisted grin, forever etching his cruelty into her flesh. Time turned Kuchisake Onna into a vengeful spirit, a ghastly presence that roamed the moonlit streets in search of victims, especially children. Her form was haunting, a girl cloaked in a tattered long coat, a mask hiding her disfigured mouth. The legend speaks of her as a harbinger of terror, her approach shrouded in eerie silence. Her method was simple, yet deadly. A lone question: am I pretty? The single thread that determined life or death. A no response sent her into a frenzy, her strange scissors gleaming in the moonlight as she struck down her unfortunate victim. But even yes was no guarantee of safety. Her true visage was reserved for those who answered affirmatively. Mask removed, her mutilated smile bared, she would ask again, "How about now?" If met with another yes, her fury subsided. If not, she would recreate her tragic disfigurement on her victim, sharing her gruesome affliction. It was a nightmare scenario, the line between survival and demise hanging by a single word. Ambiguous responses and diversion were whispered tactics for escaping her clutches, yet few succeeded. Witnesses' stories recounted eerie sightings on empty streets, the glint of scissors in the dark, and that unforgettable question haunting the night air. Let this legend serve as a chilling reminder of the power of vanity and jealousy, a warning that beauty, when sought at the cost of empathy and kindness, can birth a darkness that transcends life itself. As you walk the solitary streets at night, remember Kuchisake Onna's tale, and take heed if you ever hear that haunting question, "Am I pretty?" The consequences may be more dire than you could ever imagine. This is the channel you've been screaming for. Subscribe.